Hi, my name is Kaylee Gruser, and this is my presentation on direct democracy's effect on the Arizona Constitution, specifically looking at the initiative and the referendum. So, basically, direct democracy is a form of government where the people rule themselves. In places where this was in effect, the people would basically meet in a big group and discuss the major issues that they were facing and then decide on a course of action together. Due to the sheer size and population of the US, there wasn't really a way for the government to implement this in their constitution. However, when the people of Arizona wrote their constitution, they felt that they did need to have a really big amount of input into what the government was going to do in their state. Um, so because of this, they included 6 different things that made their government a lot more like direct democracy. So in this video, we will be taking a look at 2 of them, the initiative and the referendum. So what is an initiative? What is a referendum? Well, according to the book, Understanding Arizona Constitution by Tony McCroy, initiatives allow voters to approve or reject measures that have been drafted by the citizens themselves. Essentially, this means that people have a way to create their own laws or to change existing laws. There are 2 types of initiatives. There's the constitutional initiative, which are those that would become amendments to the state constitution. And then there's the statutory initiative, which are those that are created to change or make new laws that would govern the daily living of the people. So these would be things like criminal laws or education laws or something like that. With a referendum, it's a little bit different. This gives the people the opportunity to approve or reject a new bill that has been put up by the legislation. So the constitutional referendum is one of the 3 ways that a referendum can be put in place. And a constitutional referendum is where the legislature makes changes to the Constitution. Then a statutory referendum by legislative referral is when the legislator is the one who's trying to make changes to the laws that are not specifically within the Constitution. And then there's a 3rd type, which is a statutory referendum by citizen petition, where the people have the right to petition and potentially vote against a law that has been put forth by the legislators. Excuse me. So how do these things actually work? Well, the initiative process is fairly straightforward. Essentially, any voter registered in the state of Arizona can go to the Secretary of State and get a little form. And on this form, they can write whatever proposed law that they think that they need to enact. It does not have to be in proper legalese, and it doesn't even have to be in proper English. So they take this paper and they make this bill, and then they can petition the people with it. So they have a maximum of about 20 months to circulate this petition. For constitutional initiatives, they have to collect enough valid signatures that are equivalent to 15% of the amount of voters who voted in the last general election. And for statutory, the number goes down to 10. Excuse me. So if they gather enough signatures, they can then they can then return the proposed law and the signatures to the Secretary of the State. So assuming that they have enough signatures that can be validated, then the proposed law goes onto the ballot for the next general election, where the people can vote yes or no, and its majority wins. So they can either make the initiative a part of the Arizona law, or they can just say, we're good without it. So that's an initiative, essentially. Then there's the referendum, which, like I said, there's 3 parts to it. There's a constitutional referendum where the legislator is proposing an amendment. They have to submit this to the House and to the Senate separately and get approval from both. And then they can put it on the general elections ballot for the next run. And then again, it's just the majority wins. So if they say yes, then it's a law. If not, then it's not. And then there's the statutory referendum by legislative referral. So if the legislation proposes a law that is not enumerated in the Constitution, but will still have an effect on the people, they have two different options. The legislators can put this law before the governor, who can then approve or veto the law, or they can put it on the next ballot and it goes before the people to vote on it and get a yes or no, majority wins. And then the last kind of referendum is a little bit more complicated. This is the statutory referendum by citizen petition. So in this one, the people take advantage of the fact that there's about 90 days between when a law passes and when it goes into effect. So during this time, the people have the ability to collect equivalent to 5% of the voters who voted in the last governor election. They have to collect signatures equivalent to that number. If they gather enough signatures, then the law is not put into effect until it is able to be voted on in the next general election. So then it goes before the people and then its majority wins again. So if the people vote no, they can essentially veto the law. And if they vote yes, then the law just goes into effect like normal, but it just is a little bit later than it would have been if they hadn't put it to petition. So there are some similarities and differences between these two. Both of them are ways for Arizona laws to be adjusted and changed and added to. And both of them provide opportunities for the people to become really involved in the lawmaking process. The big difference is that initiatives are written by the people and referendums are written by the legislators, which has its own pros and cons to both of those. So with the initiatives, this really gives the people a way to speak up, and it increases the awareness of the citizens of the laws because they are so involved in what is going on. The problem is, though, that initiatives that they put forth can often be reactions to issues that are directly opposing something, and they don't really take into account the complexities of the situation. And then they're also written by the people without the need for them to go through like all the checks that a normal law would go through. So they can have unexpected repercussions and just kind of make things a little bit worse if we're not careful about it. A referendum isn't perfect either, honestly. A referendum does go through a committee review process, so it is far more likely to hold up to the legal system. And it does have some accountability for the legislators because there is that option of the popular referendum, so they still have to design laws that adhere to what the people are going to want. The con is that with the popular referendum, the government doesn't have a whole bunch of control over what goes into law. They do have about 3 where they can't, the people can't petition on them, but for the vast majority of things, the people are in control. And so this kind of gives us a very malleable state, which can have its own kind of drawbacks. But regardless of their shortcomings, the initiative and the referendum give the people of Arizona a chance to experience something very close to direct democracy. And they have the power to like make an impact on their daily lives and have a choice over what laws come into effect and what don't. So there you go. That's my kind of spiel. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful night.